Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another St. Charles Stories. I'm Nate Went, Tourism and Sales Coordinator for the St. Charles Business Alliance, running solo here today. But we're going to still have a great episode as we're going to be talking about the Fine Line Creative Arts Center here in St. Charles. We have the Executive Director, Lynn Caldwell, here to share some of her story and then also the story of the Fine Line. So, Lynn, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks for coming. How are you doing today?
So far, so good. It's going to get hot, but it's finally
Yes.
summer.
I know. I'm just like, and it's crazy. We're already, moving through summer so fast. I'm just like,
I know.
where is all the time going? Well, let's kind of get into talking some of your stories. So, let's start with you. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Start with maybe how long you've been in the area for, and maybe some things that you like to do here.
So my husband and I moved out to Batavia in the early 90s, and we raised our family there. Um, Things I like to do. I like to cycle. I like to weave. I like to do, knitting, textile arts, that kind of thing. I enjoy the bike paths around here,
Okay.
as long as people don't run me over. That makes it better.
That's always a good thing.
Right.
So awesome. Okay. So, and that kind of ties some of those passions tie into, being executive director at the Fine Line. So can you take us like how long have you been the executive director there for and how long you've been there in general as well?
So I have been the executive director since 2006. So I'm on year 17, which
Awesome.
is,
Congratulations.
it's great. I don't know how that happened either. It seems like we've done a lot, but there's still, it's like the time goes in a very strange warp. Um, I've been here since 20 or 2006, but before that, I've been a member since probably the late 80s, early 90s. I
Okay.
started volunteering in the 90s for Fine Line's Uncommon Threads, which is a wearable art fashion show. When I was raising my family, I had my own business doing handwoven apparel.
Okay.
And so that kind of tied in Fine Line. Fine Line's founder, Sister Denise Kavanaugh, was an avid weaver. And so that's how Fine Line got our weaving reputation. And that's
Yeah.
kind of how I got drawn in to that.
Okay.
I was on faculty after she passed in 2002. I started teaching at that point here, kumihimo, which
Okay.
is Japanese braiding, because you're like, what did she say?
I know.
It's
I was gonna ask as a follow up, but I appreciate the clarification.
Nobody knows what that is. That's fine. It's a Japanese braiding technique where, if you braid your hair, it's 3 strands
Yeah.
typically. This usually starts with 8 and can
Okay.
go up to hundreds.
Wow.
And you get
Okay.
very complicated techniques.
Right.
I don't do those. So anyways, I started teaching that. Then the director position became open. We had an interim director briefly. And, I thought, well, I've had my own business. I was getting tired of doing the art show thing. It's like, well, how hard could this be to run the Fine Line? It doesn't look that complicated. And then you get the job and you realize how,
Yeah.
interesting the
Okay.
place is. But it's been a fun ride.
Awesome. Awesome. So, and as you kind of talked about, you've had a long love for, textiles and clothing and that kind of passion. So, where did that originate from? Was it, just, you kind of saw someone else doing it, you're like, oh, that's really cool, or just, kind of where did that all start?
For some reason, my grandmother was a seamstress.
Okay.
It skipped a generation, I think, because she did it so well, my mom didn't have to. So, you learn how to sew. It's something I think that's a little bit innate with me. It's just, it's the whole tactile thing and to be able to create something. So
Yeah.
when I went to school, my degree is in textiles and clothing. I have a minor in art.
Okay.
I wanted to learn how to make the fabric I was designing with to give myself more options.
Yeah.
Because if you're just designing with commercial fabric, you're stuck with what somebody else designed.
Right.
So if you're creating your own fabrics, that opens up a whole nother level of interest.
Yeah. Okay.
If that
Yeah. A
makes
little bit
sense.
more creativity in there.
Exactly. You're not, you can start at ground zero. I never went as far as spinning, which would have been making the yarn to do the weaving, because that was just a step too far for me. So a lot of people do it and they do beautiful things, but weaving takes enough time.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. So, during that time, with all those textiles and working with that, is there any like favorite projects that you've had or any like favorite, like, I don't know, clotheslines or anything like that that you've designed or anything?
Well, when I had my own business, that was the era of rayon chenille. So it's that
Okay.
fuzzy kind of fabric. And I wove miles of chenille and scarves and jackets and hats and all kinds of stuff. So that was probably the deepest dive I did because I was in business.
Okay.
But currently I'm I took classes at Fine Line and I learned how to use knitting machines. And
Okay.
so a couple of years ago at Uncommon Threads, our wearable art runway show, I had a collection of men's sweaters that I had designed and created.
Okay.
And so, that was fun. And so I'm bringing those back. I'm working on a couple of them for this year's show.
Okay.
So that's the current thing.
Okay. And so when is this year's show going to occur?
This year's show is the third Sunday in October, which I believe is the 16th.
Okay. Awesome.
And
So,
it's a luncheon and runway show. We have a big boutique. It's a great event. It's kind of one of our signature events. We've been doing it for over 30 years.
okay. Awesome. No, I mean, 30 years to have that event continue to grow is awesome. So, especially to have that now in 2022, we're excited to have events back and be able to get
We
things
actually
going.
never
So,
stopped.
oh,
We never
really?
stopped. We went digital.
Awesome.
2020 was my first video appearance
Awesome.
on the airwaves, which I never signed on for, but that's how the world is these days.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it helps you get all prepared for today. So that's the
Right?
good thing. So,
Yeah, Zoom calls are not nearly as, back in 2020 when we started Zoom calls, it's like, oh my God, what fresh, crazy is this?
right.
And now it's like, yeah, let's just do the Zoom thing because it's no big deal.
Yeah, let's get to talking about the Fine Line Art Center. So, can you tell us about, some of the general information on what it is, location, hours, things like that?
Sure. Fine Line has been up in St. Charles since 1986. That's when
Okay.
we moved into the barn. So we are that we have two major buildings on campus. One is a renovated circa maybe 1890s dairy barn, and that's where the weaving studio is, and the Dempsey artisan shop, and the supply shop, and my office, and other offices, and that kind of stuff. And then we have the Kavanaugh building named after our founder, and that houses another 6 teaching studios, and the Kavanaugh Gallery, which is our show gallery. So our office hours are Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5, but a lot of our classes Monday through Thursday go till 9 p.m.
Okay. Awesome.
In
And
case
so,
you work,
yeah. And so can you tell us like some of the classes that are offered there?
Oh my
Because
gosh,
there's a
absolutely.
whole lot. I know that we could like go on for hours about it, but
It's the laundry list of classes. So if
yes.
if you want to do something, we probably teach it. But we have everything from blacksmithing. We are the only glass blowing studio
Okay.
outside of Chicago. We do painting and pottery and jewelry metals, fused glass, paper making, collage, weaving, sewing, pattern drafting, spinning. The list goes on. It's a lot. And and the thing about Fine Line that I've always loved is that some people get this idea, I'm not artistic. Well, I don't care. Come out here, try something. Take a pottery class, take a painting class, take whatever class that has always interested you,
Yeah.
because you don't have to make your living doing this. You have to get in and enjoy the process. That's really, it's just, shaking off the randall roads of life and just immersing yourself in something. And if you don't like that, great. We have a lot of classes. Try something else.
Right.
But
Yeah.
we range from beginner to advanced stuff. We have guest workshops that come in, and it's like it's not necessarily being artistic. It's getting into the media that you choose and
Right.
just enjoying the process.
Yeah, and a big level of that too is expression. With a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, I have to learn a skill so that way I can like use it productively or something." Where I think we're in agreement on a lot of times you just need to get out and just express yourself and just be able to create something. And with all the stuff at Fine Line, there's whole myriad of ways to do that. So,
Well,
it's
and it's
awesome
nice
that you
to
guys have
just
that.
get into something in the moment and
Yeah.
just immerse yourself and forget about your cell phone and forget about
Mhm.
email and do something that's just, that's all you're looking at.
Right. Unless you do I think you guys have a cell phone photography class, right? So
We
that
do.
might be a little bit tough
That's a
to
little
let the
different.
phone down.
Well, you have to learn how to use that phone productively, you know?
Yes. Yes. So Lynn, can you take us through the brief history of the Fine Line? You kind of talked about it a little bit with, opening up in, it was it 1986 was the
We actually came to St. Charles in 86. We
Oh, okay.
Fine Line started as a gallery in 1979.
Okay.
Our founder, Sister Denise Kavanaugh, was kind of going through that 40-year midlife crisis thing and went back to school to get her MFA at Northern.
Okay.
And she finished that, and it's like, well, great, now what? So she opened a gallery in right off of James Street in Geneva, and had other sisters work in that. And
Yeah.
she was a weaver, so she had a loom in the gallery. And someone came in one day and said, "Can you teach me to do that?" Well, she had been an educator in the Catholic school system for decades. And so, of course, I can teach you how to do this. She was kind of a force of nature, very charismatic.
Yeah.
And one student led to more students. And we moved around the corner right by the State Bank of Geneva, I guess, in
Okay.
one of the old houses. And she started the Fine Line Creative Arts Center, as we are now, as a teaching place. And we outgrew that, and she was looking for what's next. And she ran across this barn up here. And it was owned by Larry Dempsey, who was, one of the first BEI kind of guys, Batavia Enterprises. And
Yes.
he and his wife lived out here. And it was so amazing because he actually ended up giving the barn and the first 3 acres to Denise and the Fine Line
Really?
Creative Arts Center.
Wow. Very
Right.
generous.
Right. And we had a little rehab to do and that kind of stuff. But
Right.
and then since then we've grown, and we have a 5-acre prairie. And in 2013, I bought a little piece of property, so our address and our sign and our driveway all match, because that wasn't a thing before then. So now we're right off of Bolcom Road. We have a big, beautiful sign out there that our blacksmith made. And we've been here growing ever since.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's incredible just, especially when you think about all the places in St. Charles, that have gone through such transformations, with, even if you look at downtown where it's like these buildings that were like, oh, it's just like this oil gas station that's now a restaurant, and
Mm-hmm.
now to have, a barn that was turned into this whole center for art is just, it's truly amazing how things transform here in St. Charles. It's like there's just this awesome energy that just kind of infects everything that's here.
But it's nice to think outside the box, right?
Yes, exactly. So, how did you guys decide on what some of the arts you guys offered there? Like, was it, people asking about it? They're like, hey, I really want to learn how to blacksmith. Can you guys offer something like that? Or was it, hey, we're going to offer this and, just see how it sticks and then just grow it from there?
I think it's actually a little bit of both. So
Okay.
you brought up blacksmithing. When I started teaching here, my husband is a blacksmith. And he's like, well, I could teach this there. And so we kind of tried it out. We set up a tent for him, and people came to the classes and they loved them. And now we have a blacksmith studio because it worked out, and that was
Yeah.
the natural progression. On the other hand, we've had people, a lot of our jewelry students, asking for lapidary, and
Okay.
lapidary is stone shaping.
Yeah.
For cabochons on rings and that kind of stuff. And so this fall, we're excited to open up a new lapidary section in our jewelry studio.
Awesome.
So it kind of goes both ways. We listen to what people are asking for. They were asking for photography, so we added that.
Right.
It just kind of is an organic, we plan for it, obviously, but it's, you have to listen to what people are looking for.
Yeah, always listening to the feedback and being like, okay, are some directions that people are, looking to take for some of the creative outlets and such like that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Gotcha. So, we kind of talked about the classes, but so what are they like? So you come to the studio, what can I expect if I was coming to like a pottery class or like a photography class?
So those are good examples. So a photography class, Gabriella, typically those are one-off 3 hours at a time things. So you'd come, she would, you guys would sit up in the studio upstairs. She would go through what she was doing. She'd help you with your cell phone or your camera or whatever the class was. 3 hours and you're out the door. And it's kind of a one-off thing. So it's a nice thing if you just want to kind of come out here and not be too afraid. It's not a huge commitment. Pottery, on the other hand, because of how pottery works, you have to create the piece, it has to dry, you have to fire it, you have to, there's a lot of steps before you walk out with your thing. So those classes tend to be anywhere from 10 to 12 weeks long, but
Okay.
they're once a week for 3 hours.
Okay.
So you would come in as a new student, you would, get instruction on whether it's hand building or sculpture or wheel throwing. This is how the studio works. This is what we're going to do here. Start playing with this. And everything is a practice thing. The more you do it, the better you get in anything in life. So, the whole 10,000 hour things. It doesn't always take that long, but
Always helps.
Here's you got to start somewhere.
Right.
You have to. It's never going to happen if you don't try the first time.
Exactly.
And there was my first weaving project that I kept. That is abominable. It's just awful. But you keep it because this is so you can show people. Yeah, this is where I am now, but this is where I started. And everybody starts. Right. Everybody has to start.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I still have pieces from when I wrote poetry in middle school, and I look at them, I'm like, ooh, those are a little cringe, but
no, but if you didn't do that,
correct,
you wouldn't be where you are.
Everyone has to get their start somewhere. So,
and I always tell people in my class, your first project most likely won't hang in the Smithsonian, and that's okay.
Unless they do it where it's this is where they first began, and then then they show the whole creative process and everything. So
exactly.
So, in terms of, if someone's there's opportunities for beginners, intermediates, and advanced levels within the classes as well.
And that's kind of the fun part about pottery classes. You have, so we have beginning, intermediate classes and intermediate and advanced classes. So as a beginner, you're coming in with people who know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. There'll be other beginners with you. But it's nice to have that kind of play of ideas and people.
Yeah.
Because, you can see what people are doing that are more advanced than you are. And then, they're listening to the beginning lecture again, and they're like, oh yeah, I kind of forgot that, and so it's a really nice synergy, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You get kind of the people that are like, oh, hey, maybe you can do this with the pottery versus, just kind of, you're kind of sitting there just I think I'm doing it right.
Well, and part of, there's no grades at fine line. And, there's, and I always, with my teachers, it's there's a lot of different ways to communicate information. Mm-hmm. So if you're working on a piece, I could say, oh my God, what were you thinking? And I would get a reaction, not a good one. Or I could say, that's an interesting approach. Next time you might want to try it this way, you might have a different result. And that would be a very different response.
Yes.
And so we, people are here because they want to be here, and we want to help them do the best they can.
Absolutely. So, and for anyone that's interested in, being a part of that, how can they get signed up for those classes?
A bunch of different ways. We have a website with all of our classes listed. Our new schedule book is going to launch July 13th for fall classes.
Okay.
So you can sign up online. You can call the shop. You can walk into the shop. I have delightful people who work in the shop that would be happy to sign you up for class. Some classes have prereqs, but most do not.
Okay.
If you become a member of Fine Line, which is $50 a year,
okay,
you will get a discount on classes. So if you take 2 classes a year, you've paid for your membership.
Right. Okay.
I don't know. What else? What else would you like to know? We have sculpture show going on right now. We're on about a 10-acre campus.
Okay.
And so we have our outdoor sculpture show that just launched in May. We have an opening tonight, which is on the wing in the Kavanaugh Gallery. Other shows coming, and this is a nationally juried show, so we have work from all over the country. The next show up is the Artful Kitchen, which opens in September, and then we have a veteran show that'll open in October and run through November, and that'll lead us into our artisan holiday sale, which opens December 1st.
Yeah, well, because one of my next questions was about the Kavanaugh Gallery, as you kind of mentioned with some of the
sorry, I
sculptures
jumped
in there. No, it's okay. So with the Kavanaugh Gallery, can you tell us about, what is, exhibited there? I mean, as you talked about with some of the sculptures that are in there, but, typically what can be in the Kavanaugh Gallery?
So the Kavanaugh Gallery is our big show gallery.
Mm-hmm.
It was named after our founder, Denise Kavanaugh. Mm-hmm. And we typically have 6 to 8 shows a year, and they're about 6 weeks long, roughly. They can be anything from our students' work. So every year we have a student show. It can be faculty work. It can be nationally juried work, regionally juried work, maybe on a theme. We usually have one invitational every year. So we invite one artist to take the whole space.
Yeah.
We just had Terry Lacey here this spring, who is a paper artist from Indiana who does incredible stuff. I didn't know you could do that with handmade paper.
Yeah, that sounds very familiar. I'm like, I know that name somewhere. So maybe I've seen her work somewhere, but that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's like I said, the show we're opening tonight is On the Wing, so it is all about birds.
Okay.
You'll have to come out and see it. It's fun. It's going to be a great opening. We have, I think there's 26 Illinois artists, but there is, oh my gosh, 74 pieces of work in the show. So
Wow.
it's a big show, big show.
Okay. Awesome. And what was the name of that again?
On the Wing.
On the Wing. Okay. Awesome.
And if people want to see our gallery without coming out, I just did a digital scan of the inside, so you can kind of do a walkthrough of the gallery on the computer. That'll be up today sometime.
Awesome. And that'll be up on your guys' website.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. And so with Fine Line being a nonprofit, how can people best support you guys? I know obviously by taking the classes and going out, but what are some other ways to help support you guys?
The best way to support Fine Line, take a class. If you have it in your budget to contribute, we're a 501c3, so it's a charitable contribution. Attend our events. Just be part of our community.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not scary people, I promise.
In terms, and so with some other upcoming events, you kind of talk about the sculptures, the new exhibits, or any other events coming up that you want to get on the calendar for anyone?
So Uncommon Threads is October 16th. We talked about that. After that, we have David Roth, who is a international acclaimed folk singer, and he's going to be doing a concert in our Kavanaugh Gallery on November 20th and Sunday afternoon, just before Thanksgiving. And then the Holiday Artisan Market starts on December 1st, and it is one of my favorite shows. I do a lot of damage to my wallet there. It is everything from pottery to hand painted cards and jewelry and textiles. And I'm missing 4 things and people are going to kill me because I didn't mention them. But, it's packed full of artisan, one of a kind original pieces. And if you want somewhere fun to go holiday shopping that isn't a big box store, this is it.
Okay. Awesome. So is there anything else that you would like to talk about with the Fine Line? Anything that you'd like to plug in for, information about the website, any classes, anything, or just anything in general?
Well, so our website is fineline.org, O-R-G.
Okay.
And, we want to invite you to come out and play. A lot of people, we have been often said that we were the best kept secret in St. Charles, not by design, not by intention. We are a half a mile off of Randall on Bolcom Road, easy to get to. You don't have to be in classes to come out. Just come out, walk in the buildings. They're open to the public. See what's in the gallery, see what's in the barn and the shop. If you're a knitter, we have, or a weaver or a textile person, we have a shop full of yarn.
Okay.
For all our classes and other supplies for other classes, but we have a lot of yarn, beautiful stuff. So, don't be afraid to come out on campus and walk in the door and say hi and see what we can offer you.
Awesome. Yeah, exactly. So in terms of if anyone wants to find some more information, they have the website. Do you guys have anything on social media, or where some places people can see?
Absolutely. It's I think it's Fine Line Art on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all those things.
Okay.
All that social jazz.
And do you have any newsletters or anything that people could subscribe to or anything?
Absolutely. If on our website, you can sign up for our newsletter. It goes out once a month, so we don't inundate you. If you sign up for our mailing list, we also send out, class offerings. So, hey, there's this class coming up next week. There's still openings if you want to join us, that kind of thing. But, it's all the news you can use, kind of what's coming up, what we just did. It's a fast, it's a nice read, but it's only once a month. So.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. So, well, that'll wrap up the questions that we have here. We got one more for you. So is there anything that you like to say to the St. Charles community before we wrap up the show here?
we are your creative arts center. We are in your neighborhood. We cater to anybody who walks in our doors, and come out and see us.
Absolutely. No, everyone, if who's watching, if you get a chance, check out Fine Line, check out their website, go give them a visit, stop in, see the Kavanaugh Gallery, see all the amazing stuff. Come shop in the store that's in there, because you guys have a whole bunch of original artwork in there that you're selling there, right?
Absolutely, in the Dempsey
Yes.
here.
So, make sure to just come check them out. These guys are awesome. They have so much to offer. And, as we've talked about, ways to, be creative and express yourself with a whole variety of classes. So, that'll wrap up our St. Charles stories here today. Lynn, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. It's been awesome to talk about the Fine Line and all the amazing things that you guys have out there. And, we're always happy to help however we can. So,
Well, it was delightful meeting you. Thanks for having me on.
awesome. So we'll have more St. Charles stories coming down the road. So until then, everyone, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you all next time.